all agree that quads are arguably the hardest muscle group to grow. Well, apart from calves, but that is a topic for another video. When I first started lifting, all I wanted was some massive skull-crushing quads. But the biggest thing that I got wrong when I was training legs was thinking that more is better. I'm saying I used to spend at least 3 hours in the gym every single leg day, thinking that if I trained them as much as possible, they would grow, but I still wasn't seeing any results. And after 3 years of training and getting past a lot of the biggest mistakes that I was making when hitting legs,
what the hell is even that?
I realized that there was only really 3 key movements that I had to nail in order to see the most leg growth possible. And it shouldn't come as a surprise to any of you that the first exercise on that list is squats. I mean, research has shown time and time again that squats are the best exercise for overall leg growth. But like most of you watching this video, squats used to be #1 on my hit list. But with a few modifications, they quickly became my favorite exercise to grow my legs. To make them more enjoyable, you should really be picking a squat variation that works best for you and your body. A few of these variations include the basic back squat, the front squat, or my personal favorite, the Smith machine squat. All of these variations have pretty much the same effect on leg growth, so really just pick the one that you can stick to in the long run and the one you find most enjoyable, if any. I personally like using the Smith machine because being in a machine allows you to be more stable and push closer to failure than you could in a regular back squat. And also allows you to really slow down and control your reps without feeling like you're gonna snap your back in two. First, you're gonna want to set up your Smith machine so that the bar rests comfortably on your traps and then unrack the machine. Your foot placement here will determine how much you bias your quads during the movement. Planting my feet a bit closer than hip width and slightly in front seems to be the best for me. But depending on the mobility of your hips, a slightly wider foot placement may be more comfortable for you. And to start the movement, make sure you brace your core by sucking your belly button to your spine and imagine you're about to be punched in the gut. Then bend your knees and focus on pushing them over your toes on the way down in the movement. And no, despite what you may think, knees over toes will not snap your knees here. The more flexion we get here in the knee, the more stretch we're putting on our quads, and the more that we're going to be getting out of this exercise for quad growth. Now here comes the biggest mistake that I made when trying to grow my quads, and that is not going through a full range of motion when doing an exercise like the squat. Research has shown that over an 8-week period, people who did full range of motion squats saw their muscle double in size compared to those who only did partial squats. And also, using a full range of motion seems to cause more muscle damage than partial ranges of motion, even if more weight is used within that partial range. So if your goal is leg growth, you definitely want to be doing full range of motion when doing exercises like the squat, which means you need to be going at least to parallel when you squat down in the movement. I would recommend doing around 3 to 4 sets of these in the lower rep range of around 8 to 10. This will make sure that you're not completely exhausting yourself and still getting to or close to failure within the 8 to 10 rep range. The next exercise on our list will probably have a lot of you running for the hills, but please just hear me out. In order to prevent any muscle imbalances in our legs, we need to be doing unilateral exercises, which means working one leg at a time. My personal favorite has got to be the Bulgarian split squat for this one. Research has shown that split squats may be just as effective as a back squat for increasing your 1 rep max on the back squats. So this is a great movement to add into your routine if you're looking to get stronger on your compound lifts. With an exercise as gut-wrenching as this, it's only natural that you want to get through it as quickly as possible. But here's where another huge mistake comes in when trying to grow your legs. You want to make sure that you're going slowly through this movement and really focus on stretching your knee over your toes. Again, to get the most stretch possible in our quads. This will make sure that we're targeting our quads as much as possible and not let other big muscle groups like our glutes or our hamstrings take over in this movement, meaning we get the most growth out of each rep that we're doing. But if you struggle setting up for this exercise like I did when I first started lifting, and still honestly do to this day, I would recommend first sitting back into the foot support and plopping your working leg out in front of you and then sitting up from there. This will help you position yourself without having to do the famous split squat hop and lose your balance when doing the exercise. Again, to target your quads here and not your glutes while doing the movement, you want to make sure that you're keeping your torso as upright as possible and really focus on pushing the weight through the foot of your working leg. I would recommend doing around 3 to 4 sets of these at either 8 to 10 or 10 to 12 reps, depending on if you're picking a heavier weight, a lighter weight, or how close you are going to failure. With these exercises, it's much safer to push to failure considering we've not got a ton of weight on our backs. So really it's up to you and your recovery or where you're at in your training cycle on whether you want to push 2 or 1 to 2 reps shy of failure. Both of these options will yield similar results, so it's really just up to you. Now that we have our main compound lift and our unilateral exercise out of the way, it's time to do some isolation work. Doing an isolation exercise like the leg extension should really be a staple in anyone's quad routine, because unlike our two previous exercises, an isolation movement will allow us to solely focus on our quads and not involve any other muscle group in the movement, which will lead to more quad growth in the long run. And the leg extension is super straightforward to get right. All you want to do is set up your machine so that you can sit with your back flat against the support and have your knees bent at around 90 degrees in front of you. The leg pads should be in front of the top of your ankles with your feet facing forward. Grip the bars on either side of the seat to stabilize yourself and use your quads to extend your legs up until they are fully straight, pause at the top, and then slowly lower back down. For more emphasis on your quads, you can also lean back slightly in your seat and then lift your legs up from there. This is actually a super psychotic trick that I learned from Eugene Teal over here on YouTube, and ever since I started doing it, my quads have never been the same since, but I mean in the best way possible. When doing a seated exercise like this, it is so tempting to just go through the motions of flinging your feet up and not really thinking about controlling the exercise with your legs. But you really want to make sure that you're slowing down the eccentric of this exercise and putting as much stress and tension on your quads as possible. Make sure you're picking a weight that you can go to failure with within the 10 to 12 rep range. And because we're supported by a machine here and have no fear of snapping our back under a bar, feel free to push to failure on this and really go until your legs cannot go anymore. I would usually do around 3 to 4 sets of this at the end of my quad workout, but if you're feeling pretty psychotic or you're fighting some pretty serious demons, you can also do a big drop set at the end of your 3 sets. All you would do is your 3 heavy sets as usual and then use your 4th set as a major drop set, where basically you would drop the weight, go to failure, drop the weight again, and then go to failure again. And continue this until you're at a super light weight or you can't get more than 5 reps without failing completely. With these 3 exercises covered, you will be well on your way to having big, juicy quads. But if you were aiming for the thick quad look, it is absolutely crucial that you add in some adduction work into your routine. The adductors are muscles located on the inner side of your thigh. Strengthening your adductors will help to fill out the inner part of your thigh and give your quads that more big, thick, defined look. While many compound movements will target the adductors, I find that isolation work yields the best growth for muscle, and the adductor machine is absolutely perfect for this. But this machine is tricky to do right, with a lot of people feeling it in their hips and not their adductors, so here is exactly how you do it. First, start by sitting on the adductor machine with your back pressed against the backrest. Position the pads on the inner side of your knees and adjust the width so your legs start comfortably apart. Choose a challenging weight that allows you to complete your reps with good form and hold onto the handles on the sides of the machine to stabilize yourself. Slowly push your legs together and think about squeezing the pads together with your inner thighs. Slowly return to the starting position, controlling the movement. I would recommend doing around 10 to 15 reps of these for 2 to 4 sets. This will depend on how fried your adductors are feeling after your first couple of sets and how close you're pushing them to failure. You can use this exercise at the start of your workout to warm up your legs and hips, or at the end of your workout for the ultimate little burnout at the end. Now that we have all 4 exercises mapped out, this is exactly how I would structure a quad routine for growth. Personally, I train quads 2 times a week, but they can really be trained anywhere between 3 and 4 times as long as you're giving 48 hours between each workout for your muscles to recover and grow. I'll also pop up a little 12-week guide here on how I would personally progressively overload using these 3 exercises in my quad routines. This will make sure you're getting the most growth possible week to week. Please let me know down below if you're going to try any of these exercises in your next leg day, or if they're already your leg day. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hopefully I will catch you guys in my next one.